Summer vacation. What happened? Man, when I was a kid, we used to have a full 3 months off for summer vacation. Not only would we have the time off, but we didn't have anything to do. We used to have to build tree houses. We used to have to walk down the bayous with BB guns and shoot down into the bayou at snakes and at bottles and at trash, whatever was there. Blew the heads off a few frogs, no offense, but we did. We used to go fishing. We used to ride our bicycles all over Quail Valley, and I mean all over Quail Valley. We would go 20 strong sometimes to go down to watch a soccer game or whatever the heck was going on at the rec center that was miles away. It was hot, we were bored, and between the hours of sunup and sundown, we didn't have to be anywhere in particular. Our parents didn't ask us where we were going. We didn't have to check in every 2 minutes. We didn't have anybody tracking us where we went. We didn't have cell phones in our pockets, so we didn't have any real way to communicate back to home base. We didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have the internet to communicate and organize things or to find out what was going on. We just had to show up. We played Star Wars. We went swimming a lot. We did a lot of things over summer vacation. Sometimes we'd stay over at a friend's house, and friend A would tell their parents they were staying over at friend B, and friend B would say they were staying over at friend A, and they would just go camping. This happened. And it seemed like our entire lives rotated around our bicycles because they were our mode of operation. They were the ability to get around. They were ability to communicate because we didn't have cell phones. We had walkie-talkies that kind of worked when you had batteries. And we didn't have to be home until dark. And we would walk barefoot. We would set off firecrackers. And the stories my dad told about when he was a kid were even more nuts than the stuff that we did. What we did was Mayberry compared to what my father got away with when he was a kid. There was all kinds of weird shit that happened. Today, I don't know. The weird stuff's got to be going on. I mean, kids haven't gotten any different now than they were back then. And now they have tools like cell phones and internet to communicate with each other and to arrange things. And they can vlog about it. And that's a scary thing. One problem they have though is their summer's gotten shorter. They have the tools available to be tracked, so they have to be tracked. People want to keep tabs on them every 5 minutes. Where are you? What are you doing? That kind of crap. We didn't have that. We had a free life. We tasted freedom. My generation. They're not getting that nowadays. Not by a damn sight. I don't know. I hesitate to go into any of the stories because they'd probably come looking for me for a couple of them. But I don't know. It was interesting times. No, not everybody had cameras to track us. Nobody had video cameras on their house. There's probably no video footage of me going down the bayou shooting at snakes and frogs with my BB gun, shooting at bottles. And you know, we'd go down there at 3 or 4 strong, and the place was our playground. It was an army. It was every kind of moonscape or battlefield known to man. We played them all. And we'd set up racetracks half a mile long and race each other down them on our bikes, foot races. People didn't care if we were back there as long as nothing got broke, nobody's windows got smashed, you know, nothing like that. So we were good. Some kids got in trouble, nothing big that I'm aware of, and some kids didn't. I don't know. It seems like the bad stuff happened to kids back then, the bad stuff happens to kids today. But I don't know how much watching kids every friggin' move 24/7 has helped. It just doesn't seem to me like there's a lot of good things that have come out of having leashes on your children in the form of cell phones and tracking devices and all this kind of crap. I just don't know how much that helps. I'm not sure. You are basically expected now to know where your kid is 24/7 within a few meters. You know, you've got to know whose house they're at, You got to know that person's contact information. You got to know when they went to the pool, what route they took, and all this kind of crap. Otherwise, the police are going to look at you funny when you call them and say, "Where's my kid?" Back then, you had an idea where your kid was. Well, they were outside playing, and then they never came back. And you weren't expected to know where your kid was every friggin' second. The technology's changed, and so have the attitudes towards keeping track of people. It's really a shame. Freedom is not necessarily nobody else knowing what you're doing. Freedom is the chance to make your own decisions. But when you're a kid, adults have the excuse to limit what choices you have. And when you're outside playing, you're the one making the choices. It's very important you learn how to make those choices, and you learn how those choices have consequences. And that's just not happening today. I think people are growing up now. They're not understanding that every step you make has a consequence. Every time you move, every time you breathe, there's consequences. And every choice, every path you travel down leads somewhere, whether you think it does or not. And you have to plan ahead. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing now. What a lot of kids coming up, 12, 13. Now, I've talked to some kids, and they're nuts. I don't understand. Were we that nuts back then? Did we have the lack of limitation? These kids are very proud of themselves for doing nothing, and they're very sure of their own skill set that doesn't exist. And I don't know. It just seems like they're being very, very much coddled now, and they're being very, very much tracked, and they're having all their decisions made for them, and they're not allowed to venture forth and feel the consequences. And I think this is another reason why people who come in from outside of the Western cultures are thriving in the United States right now, is because they have learned these things. They've learned. They've grown up in a world where everything you do has consequences, and you have to learn how to plan ahead in reality. And that's why they're excelling here. And a lot of kids from the United States aren't. It's because they haven't learned that. They haven't learned how to plow ahead with a plan. And I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. If you have any crazy summer stories, make a video response. I dare you.